Yes, everybody, welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Or, of course, if you are watching on our YouTube channel, that is Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm TSI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me for another Scouting Report podcast, our director of basketball recruiting, and he's an analyst for us, David Sisk. And David, we're here to talk about four-star power forward in the 2024 class, Jarin Stevenson, also a North Carolina native as well. So excited to kind of dive into his game a little bit and talk about him. I know you got to see him a couple weeks ago, Memorial Day weekend, at the EYBL tournament in Louisville, Kentucky. So looking forward to diving into him a little bit. If you haven't seen the interview David did with him as well, I'll put a link in the description below where you can go check that out on our website. But before we dive into Stevenson in this podcast, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Rogue Shop. You guys know we love them. You guys, if you're an avid listener of Tar Heel Illustrated, you've heard them before. We absolutely love their products. Check them out, therogueshop.com. They specialize in top shelf family grown hemp products, whatever you're into, CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9, whatever form you like it in, check them out. High quality products, really awesome stuff. Like I said, family grown, and they're really, really quality. So if you guys want to save on your order as well, make sure you use that promo code TARHEELS10 to save. And I'll also put a link in the description below to head over to therogueshop.com. But all right, David, let's dive into Jarin Stevenson on this one. Mentioned a little bit earlier, but we'll go over it again. Four-star power forward in the 2024 class, rated as a number 23 player, 6'9". He's from Pittsburgh, North Carolina, and attends Seaforth High School. Again, if you want to see the interview David did, click the link below after this video is done. Really awesome stuff. And David, I'm going to reference a couple things from your interview to kind of facilitate this conversation because I thought there's some really interesting things in there. A quick tidbit that I thought was cool is mom actually played basketball at UNC. Nicole Stevenson was Nicole Walker. So I'm sure a few Carolina diehards have definitely heard of her back in her day. But David, there's a quote, I think in the first couple graphs of your interview with him that I really liked and I want to ask you about. You said he looks like the type of power forward Roy Williams used to love. So having seen him in person, having seen him play, what exactly do you mean by that? And expand on his game a little bit, what kind of player he is.
Roy's power forwards basically played downhill from kind of the mid-range deep two spot, especially out of the foul line area. He's kind of that. Now, the games that I watched him play, they ran into some zone and they put him into the high post. But he is really comfortable there. He is a different player. I didn't know what to expect, really. I thought maybe kind of a finesse guy, and he's not that. He's rugged, not afraid, physicality, not a big physical guy, but he's not afraid of physicality. But really, really good from that mid-range area. Has a good touch. I saw him hit a couple of floaters, against the zone where he just caught it and leaned in and got rid of it quickly, but really is comfortable putting the ball on the floor, and he can shake a power forward who's guarding him with either hand. Really quick feet. And, I saw him make a couple of different type of finishes from the high post area, right and left. Like I said, I saw him hit some floaters. I saw him with a nice mid-range jump shot. And I saw him on the baseline catch and dunk with his offhand, which is left-handed, over a guy and threw it down with a left hand. And that was really impressive. So his hand-eye coordination, he has what I call educated feet.
I saw that in your
he's not going to be – he's very, very athletic. Now, it's not – Vince Carter athleticism or Michael Jordan athleticism, maybe an Antoine Jameson type. But Roy used to love those kind of guys at the four, and that's what he reminds me of. He can guard the big, he can guard the five, he can rebound, does a lot of good stuff. And I think his ranking will go higher. I think his stock will go up. I know Travis Graff has told me privately that he thinks he could make a push as perhaps the top power forward in the class. Wow. So honestly, I think this is as low as he's – now, I haven't seen what the new rankings are going to be, but I've just got kind of a knack that or feeling that this is probably going to be about as low as he's ranked.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either when I was watching some of his highlights and stuff. And he's an impressive kid. And there's a few things you hit on there that I kind of picked up in your article. You said he had quick feet, a nice kind of touch with his mid-range game, which I think is impressive for a power forward. You want a guy in today's game that can also, step out, especially that power forward position, to hit jump shots. So that's obviously a huge plus. And you said he was good defensively. Now, I know you said he expects his ranking to you expect his ranking to rise, excuse me. And one thing that I thought was interesting in your interview, actually, that he said his goal is to be as versatile as possible. So I know we've kind of hit on strengths. Was there anything that maybe stood out that he's got to continue to work on to get to that point of being as versatile as he wants to be?
Yeah, I just think it's a process just where you continue to work on what you're working on. Mm-hmm. Looking at, and I've got to go back here and look at that story mm-hmm. on exactly what his stat line was. So in Louisville, you got to remember, you really can't go by stats in a lot of this. And I don't think even with his high school at Seaforth, you got to remember their team last year was freshmen and sophomores. So first year school. Mm. So people are going to look at them and maybe look at the record and say, oh, they weren't they lost games. They weren't one of the top teams in North Carolina. You can't go by that. You also can't go by stats, especially in EYBL, because they got a very good team. And I'm not being critical in either way because they got good players. And so the ball gets shared. He really, if you're there to watch him, you don't get the body of work with the ball in his hands as much as maybe it's what you'd like because you have a certain motivation to watch him, if that makes sense. 8.2 points, 4.2 rebounds in 4 games in Louisville. You can't really go by that. I think he was very efficient. If you look at his stats, I mean, in 4 games, he shot 22 shots, made 13, 59.1%. Mm-hmm. 16 to 22 from the foul line. There was one game he made 3 of his 6 3-point attempts. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like this first or second game, he was 3 for 3 from the 3-point line.
Oh, wow.
So, and then he was over deep. So there weren't a whole lot of opportunities, but he was 3 for 6 from deep. Mm-hmm. So I think probably just continuing to work on what he's working on and just reps, and getting better at that because he is skilled. But, in our last article we done was Matas Bazelis, who's 6'10". He's not a Matas Bazelis. He's not a playmaker that you're going to put out there and say, okay, you're going to be 6'10" on the ball and all that. He's not that guy. He's going to be off the ball. I think the whole thing with him is going to be, can he stretch it enough and work on his skill enough to where he can play on the perimeter and not be a stretch 4 type. And when I say stretch 4, I'm not necessarily talking about a guy who can step out and just shoots threes from behind the line. Now, if he does that, that's going to be a development because he's not there yet either. Mm-hmm. So the question is going to be between now, let's say the next 3 to 4 years, how much does he expand his game? Does he, like I said, could he expand it where he could even play the 3? Mm-hmm. And play a wing, or is he a 4 that could become very, very comfortable outside the 3-point line and be a matchup nightmare out there? Because, like I said, right now I think he's a very, very talented, an athletic, a skilled guy whose wheelhouse is really in that high post area, like I said, and playing kind of a traditional 4, but not a rugged banger, really old school type guy that just goes in there and takes pressure off the center. He's really skilled with what he does.
Yeah, and you mentioned his development. He's only class of 2024, so rising junior, so got a ton of time to develop and work on his game. And he, with him saying his goal is to be as versatile as possible, I think I'm super interested. I know a lot of people are super interested to see what he looks like in a couple of years if that's his goal, because no doubt about it, he's been working on all that stuff. And David, I want to kind of hit on his recruitment before we wrap this one up. I know if you go look at the Rivals, his bio on Rivals, quite a few crystal ball predictions for North Carolina. I know it's really early in his recruitment still. Like I said, he's only a rising junior, but when you think in-state kid, mom played at Carolina, those connections, Any updates you can give us on his recruitment and kind of where UNC stands at this? It seems like they, I would think they feel like they're in a pretty good place right now.
Jarin and his family are going to tell you that they're open and are going to play this out. I did hear somebody around him really talking up North Carolina, what they thought he might do. So that's going to be something to watch. I think North Carolina would be the pretty strong favorite. I think it's interesting that a guy, and I know it's early, he's getting ready. He's a rising junior. He's still got 2 years of high school left, but his offer sheet is not, I'm looking at it here. His offer sheet is not extensive like you would expect for a top 30 kid. You've got North Carolina State, you've got Virginia, you've got Wake Forest. I know Florida State's probably the other team in there that's nosing around a little bit that has an offer, and I think they would probably come across. So it's very regional. Like I said, we're talking for a top 30 kid. Now, you got to remember, like I said, not a lot of exposure out there yet, not a lot of film on him. First time we've got to see him live. C4, like I said, a 9th and 10th grade team only. He's playing 16 and under with Team United. He's not playing 17s, not playing up. And, it's not one of those deals when he goes and plays that there are going to be huge crowds playing up on the 17s. So kind of under the radar. But I still think it's interesting that there's not more. You talk to him, who are the schools that have really reached out that have not offered? And you look compared to some of these other guys the same age, it's not a long list. So I don't know if other schools are saying, hey, there's no use wasting the time. He's going to go to North Carolina. That could be it. You run into some of that. I wouldn't be surprised. But, like you say, you obviously hear the UNC buzz around him.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, with his UNC connection with his mom playing there and everything, and just being an in-state kid and all that jazz, things kind of you would think would be looking at Carolina's favor. But like you said, it's still so early. You expect him to climb in the rankings and get looked at by more schools. I'm guaranteed he'll receive a lot more offers from more schools as he continues to grow as well. And it's interesting about his high school. I didn't realize it was a new high school. That definitely plays a factor in recruitment, particularly in this state, because you will struggle, when you're just throwing out freshmen and sophomores.
His dad actually is the head coach at C4.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's assistant coach with Team United. So, like I said, you could tell he's a coach's son, or he's been around somebody that's played, because, you could tell that they put into work with him. It's been done by somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, he's very good, interesting. I think he's just going to get better. It wasn't one of those games I saw. I think he might have had 12, 14 points. It wasn't one of those deals where he had 30 and he got a bunch of shots. But the opportunities that he's got, he was really efficient. Like I said, could do different things. And that's the first thing that went through my mind. I was like, man, that's a guy Roy Williams loved. That's the way he loved his power forwards.
Yeah, I love that line in your interview. And guys, like I said a few times in here, if you want to read David's interviews, click the link below. Check it out. I do believe you have to be a premium member. So if you want to sign up for that, it's just $8.33 a month. AJ took over the site 8 years ago now. We haven't changed our prices. So with everything rising and all the prices are rising, we haven't changed. So come over and check us out. Sign up for just $8.33 a month. You get to see get to see a lot more of David's awesome content. You get access to our premium message boards, football too. So
can't get out and drive anywhere now with gas expenses.
Yeah, man, you start biking everywhere.
Stay home and read about recruiting.
Yeah, exactly. Save a lot of money doing that. I'm telling you, man. You can't even. God, you can barely get a gallon of gas.
Out the driveway now. So
yeah. I think if you've ever thought about getting a bike today, now is the time to do it. I'll tell you that for free. I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon either. But good stuff, David. Awesome. Always enjoy kind of talking to you about this, and especially excited when you get to see guys in person. And we've got a few more of these we'll be rolling out. I believe this is our fourth one, so we got two more we're going to do. I think so far we've done 2 commits: Gigi Jackson, Simeon Wilcher, and like David mentioned a little bit in this one as well, Matas Buzelis. That one's out too. So if you guys want to see those, click our YouTube channel below, hit the playlist tab on our channel, and you'll see a little playlist section. I believe it's titled just Scouting Report. Click on that. And you can kind of start watching those from the beginning into where we're at now. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you check out the Rogue Shop again, therogueshop.com. Awesome products. Make sure you use that promo code Tar Heels tend to save. Again, the link is in the description below. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been David Sisk. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as well, so you know every single time we upload. And trust me, guys, we upload a lot, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.